Hello and welcome everyone. Just bear with us. We're working with some technical difficulties, but your host and hostess will be on soon. My name's Ana Garcia. I am one of the community partners for the Alley Theaters at Zócalo. Today's panel discussion and conversation is going to revolve around MEDEA's production. This production has been around since the 400 BC time frame, and you guys are going to hear how a lot of that story is still very relevant today. Today, we still are dealing and seeing a lot of what these women in this time period went through. So being Women's Month, I think it's a perfect timeline to discuss these conversations and just be open and candid about it. You're going to meet some mental health experts that are going to be joining us here in just a second. We have two fabulous ladies, Diane Arms, and we also have Blanca Garza. In addition to that, you're going to hear from our community partners, Yvette Mayo, Lolly Ramirez-Bennett, and myself, Ana Garcia. So we look forward to this conversation and the great questions that our hosts and hostess have prepared for us. We're super excited to be here and hope to see some of your comments come across. We are able to see those, so if you have any comments for us, please share them. And I think we're gonna go on do we have our hosts and hostess ready? Sorry, we got this though. I'm happy that you guys are here, and I'm happy that you're going to be watching and with us. And again, if you have any questions that come up, please feel free to share those questions during the presentation. We'll be able to see them and respond to them. So let me see if there's any now. But everybody, welcome. Share this with your friends on Facebook so that they can start joining. And I'll do my introduction, my formal introduction now. One of the things that we're all joining on here for is for this panel conversation. And how I got involved is, as I mentioned earlier, I'm Ana Garcia. I am an employee of AT&T, a strategic account lead by profession, but I am also the national president for Hacemos. Hacemos is the Hispanic Latino Employee Resource Group at AT&T, and as such, I am a community leader. I am an advocate for the community as well as for my members at AT&T, and we are very passionate about what we're able to do. So that being said, I am going to take it over. I am here today because this is a very relevant topic and we truly enjoy this opportunity to talk. And Vale, take it over.
De Facebook y de YouTube. Estoy emocionado de darle la bienvenida. I am excited to give you the welcome for today's event, Cuentos y Charlas. This is a signature program that we're doing for the Alley Theaters El Zócalo, and I'm sure it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful series of online panel discussions. That's what Cuentos y Charlas are. Again, my name is Valdemar Rodriguez, and I am the manager of community partnerships. And once again, I just quickly apologize for the technical difficulties, but we are here because Cuentos y Charlas is a series of online conversations where we take themes and subjects that are relevant and that are from the play productions that we are producing here at the Alley Theater. But before we go any further, I would like for you to help me welcome. Les pido que me ayuden a darle la bienvenida to my co-host. This wonderful, wonderful person that I'm about to introduce has worked in the community as a journalist, as a producer, director, as a media outreach individual. She works for Champions Radio, and she has worked for Disney's ABC Channel 13 here locally in Houston. Please help me welcome Blanca Beltran. Blanca, hey. Bienvenida. So glad that you're here with me. Yeah. Muchísimas gracias por acompañarme.
Es un honor para estar aquí con ustedes. Thank you so much for having me as your co-host. So a little quick story of our history. We actually met at the University of Houston when we were graduating. So we go way back. So yeah, we've constantly come together for different projects. So I'm so honored to be here today with all of you.
Well, and what an important day to be working together and connecting with our community. You know, before I go any further, I want to thank Ana Garcia for stepping in and saving the day as we were starting this production. Thank you so much, mi amiga Ana. I will be introducing her more formally in a few minutes.
Yes.
But we're excited. MEDEA. Oh, Euripides, el Greek author, poet Euripides. He wrote this production many years ago. I'll tell you in a second how many years ago it was written, but it's been produced and it is so relevant. All the different themes that circle within the play. And so we're super duper excited that we're here to be able to connect with you and share a little bit more conversations on the topics of MEDEA.
Yes, absolutely. So we're going to be introducing also an individual who's going to be sharing a little bit more about at the Alley Theater and the production itself.
Well, and you are talking about Mr. Rob Melrose, who is our artistic director here at the Alley Theater.
Hola y bienvenidos. Me llamo Rob Melrose y soy el director de MEDEA. Hello, everyone. I'm Rob Melrose, and I am the director of MEDEA. I'm also the artistic director of the Alley Theater. I'm so sorry I wasn't able to be with you today. I'm out of town this week, but I can't wait to hear about this discussion y'all are having. MEDEA is a play I've been obsessed with for decades. It's one of the earliest dramas we have. It's 2,500 years old. And at the same time, it just couldn't be more relevant and immediate. The emotions are so huge. It deals with such big themes: marriage, divorce, betrayal, infidelity, the relationship between a mother and her children, the relationship between a family. And these things are still relevant today. And what's amazing is it's so easy for us to get emotionally invested in the story, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to do it, because I just felt like in this Zoom world, we're watching kind of talking heads all day. We're watching people just kind of have contemporary conversations. As much as I love contemporary drama, I just felt like it was important in this Zoom world to have something that was boldly theatrical, that's something that was emotional in a way that we don't experience the rest of our day on Zoom. And of course, ancient Greek theater, and especially Euripides' MEDEA, I just thought was the perfect vehicle for really delivering drama right into your laps sitting at home. Our resident acting company has been employed at the Alley all during the pandemic. We've been working on things, and they've just been doing great work. And I'm so excited to be able to share this major piece with you. I'm so excited about your discussion with Valdemar and the panel of Cuentos y Charlas. So enjoy. Thank you very much, and gracias.
Wow. Well, let me just tell you, what a wonderful journey that we've had here at the Alley Theater. Rob Melrose, he's an amazing individual, very wonderful, creative individual that has taken this story and put it not on stage, but directing the actors from their homes and then bringing it into a digital format so that we could share it with you, our community. El señor Rob Melrose, que una persona tan interesante, tan creativa, que realmente tocó esa historia y nos la trajo para nuestra comunidad. ¿Qué piensas?
Y listo para enseñar a toda la comunidad que esos tópicos todavía estamos hablando y directamente lo está impactando las familias en este día, ¿no?
¿Y después de qué tantos años eran?
2,500 years. Crazy.
2,500 años tenemos esa historia. Bueno, pues para comenzar, vamos a introducir a nuestros amigos de la comunidad, we're going to introduce our experts, our mental health experts, because these themes are very difficult, you're gonna be very surprised of the connections that we're gonna make within this play. And we have experts that we can ask questions and be able to get to the root of why these themes are so relevant to our community right now. So I'd like to introduce right now, well, you you do the honors.
Okay, no problem. So we're going to introduce Diane Arms. She's one of our mental health experts. She's the director at the Center for Co-Occurring Disorders at the Council on Recovery. So she's dedicated to her career to serving the Latino population in the health field, including mental health and substance abuse. She earned her Bachelor's of Arts and Master's degree in clinical psychology from the University of Texas in El Paso. And next up is we have Blanca Garza. She's also a mental health expert. She is an LPC intern psychotherapist from the Center for Creative Resources. She graduated with her master's in counseling psychology from Pacifica Graduate Institute in California, and she is currently interning as a bilingual psychotherapist. Her thesis work and research, which I thought it was very interesting, centered around the archetypes of the Latina woman, including the archetypes of the warrior goddess and the enslaved virgin. So very interesting thesis. So we'd love to hear more about her as we move forward to the production. And also, I think we're encouraging our audience viewers to engage and send any questions as they're listening throughout the show.
And that's Diane and Blanca.
Yes.
And the Cuentos y Charlas, it's a series of online talks and discussions with people like you, our community partners, and our experts. And so right now I'm going to introduce 3 of our community partners. The first one being Yvette Mayo. She's the CEO and founder of Power on Heels Fund Incorporated. She's an award-winning entrepreneur. She's an international author, and she's a globally recognized career coach. The organization that she is the founder and CEO, again, is Power on Heels Fund, and it is focused on the advancement of Latinas by helping to decrease the impact of gender pay gap that has on their careers and their career potential. So that is Yvette Mayo. And then the next is Ms. Lolly Ramirez Bennett. She is the CEO of Women of AT&T National. She's been 35 years with AT&T. She is a business trend analyst and strategist that affects data to effectively lead an organization to meet. Excuse me, let me see. That's my, she founded, she was the founding chapter leader for the Houston HISPA chapter, which is now Hacemos. And she really has a passion for empowering women. And a lot of the events that she is a part of is mentoring young women and teaching them how to advance in their careers. And the last is Ana Garcia, who is the national president of Hacemos, which is the Hispanic employee group of AT&T. She is also, she is a strategic account lead in the global business organization of AT&T, and she's got more than 25 years experience in telecommunications and technology. So we are excited to have Yvette, Lolly, and Ana. So wow, what an impressive panelist. Yeah. So let's hit the ground running.
Yes, absolutely.
What's up next?
So I wanted to know, what is the importance of this conversation in response of MEDEA? We want each of our guests to answer this question in under 2 minutes if possible, just to kind of get your aspect of it. And first, let's see what we're talking about. Let's roll the beginning clip of MEDEA.
Okay.
Shrill with pain, she calls down curses
on the double-crosser.
She trusted his word.
Sailing by night
Through the dangerous strait.
She made it to Greece.
Then gets paid back like this.
God, is that justice?
Women of Corinth, I don't want you to hate me, so I've come out. Many people are too proud in public or private. Those who keep to themselves get a bad reputation for being detached. It's not fair how people make snap judgments on first sight and decide to hate someone who's done them no harm before they even know them. An outsider has to work hard not to offend.
Wow. So, okay, let's go ahead and start. And let's hear from our first mental health expert, and that is Ms. Diane Arms.
Hola y bienvenidos. First off, I just want to say thank you, Valdemar and LA Theater, for this amazing panel that you've put together. As Melrose said, this play touches on so many relevant topics, including immigration for hopes of a better life. She came with her husband and felt the isolation, and from that isolation had a snowball effect of many mental health issues, not to mention the abuse that she suffered at the hands of her husband. One question is, did she have the resources to prevent any of the, wrongdoings that she committed? I'm hopeful that this conversation can facilitate even a bigger conversation that often us Latinos don't talk about, that is mental wellness, and be brave and open enough to talk about them.
Yes, definitely.
Well, thank you so much for your comment, Diana. Let's go ahead and go to Yvette. Yvette.
Well, welcome everyone, and good evening to everyone who's tuning in. When I watched this play, I had to watch it several times. And one of the things that I've heard again in this segment is the stigma of judgment. There was so much judgment here from the people who were observing the situation, and the expectation that she knew what to do and how to handle the situation. And back to Diane's point, did she have the resources? I was moved through the various times I've watched this for different reasons. I try to take different viewpoints, but again, in this particular moment, how she's going through this crisis and dealing with the stigma that judgment brings upon us. And that's something we do in our culture, we do that in our community, and we did it then, and we still continue to do now. And so how do we overcome the challenges we have, and then worry about or be concerned about what others will think? And that goes down to our society, but also deeply rooted in our culture. And I would love to see how we can maybe address that through the conversations today. So.
Very good, valid points, Yvette. You talked about the stigma of judgment. You're so on point with that, because it happened then, and you're right, it is still happening today. And that's a difficult conversation to have, but a very important one, I believe.
That's right. Let's go to Blanca Garza.
Sorry about that. The fact that this play has endured for, throughout time for so long, 400 BC, I think, is when it originally came out. And the themes that run through it, the feelings of belonging in this clip, she doesn't feel like she belongs. She's, she's an immigrant, essentially, in this new land, and she has left everything behind. And so when we think of us as just as human beings, like, we need that attachment. And so these are a lot of things that run through our community as well. When we move or when we migrate, when we are immigrants, refugees, sometimes in a new land, that attachment, sometimes with family members, sometimes parents, there's trauma there because that is lost. And so all of those themes are also running through the play. And I think those are very relevant to us today, because there's not, one of the most important things to us is to belong, to be in a group. It's important for our very survival. So that's a theme that certainly we can all relate to.
Absolutely, Blanca. I totally agree on the terms where you're saying about belonging. That's in a new school, a new job. It relates on so many platforms. So definitely something we need to address, for sure.
Now let's go to Lolly.
Thank you all very much for allowing me to participate in this great Alley Theater and El Zócalo community event. I'm quite excited to talk about the Cuentos and Charlas and how we can parlay that into our Women's History Month this March of 2021. You know, as we think about women's history, and then we think about this play of 2,500 years, we realize we've made such great strides over time, but there's still so much more to be done. And it's so important that we as mujeres help each other become more confident and recognizing of our own self-worth. You might ask, how can we do that? Very much like we're doing here today, having open discussions with your trusted amigas and comadres, just like this, and being supportive of each other, not tearing each other down, but helping each other kind of work through the problems and becoming stronger from them. Once we talk through our concerns, we're able to start to take the stigma away. We can effectively work through some viable solutions and things become much more manageable, right? I believe women are very, very capable, both of good and of bad, unfortunately, right? So our goal is to ensure that we win on the good side for the good of everyone, men and women as well.
Very good. Yes.
Thank you very much, and that's right. It's both men and women. Like
Absolutely.
You said. So I appreciate your comment, Lali. Thank you so much. And now we go to Ana Garcia.
Hi, everyone. Thank you once again for having me here today. So remember earlier when I mentioned how relevant this is today? Well, I don't know if I just watched it at a very emotional time period in our circumstances today, but just a couple of weeks ago, we were reading about all the Asian hate, you know, and for no reason. And as you heard MEDEA express herself, it's talking about being judged or being passed through judgment without, you know, getting to know them. And she also mentioned about the silent suffering. Latinos are notorious for that silent suffering. We tend to keep it to ourselves. These are conversations, like Diane mentioned, we don't talk about mental health. We don't talk about different things. And it's very much ingrained in our culture. But I think it's important to have those conversations. And the time is now. Let's stand up for what we believe in. Let's make our voices heard. Let's unite and overcome some of the obstacles that we've set upon ourselves by not having these discussions. So very relevant today, very passionate about this topic, and thank you again for having me.
We're excited to have you and every one of you. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your expertise and your comments, because this is how we are able to connect art with our community. So once again, thank you to each and every one of you. We're going to roll this next clip and let's see what kind of responses you give us after you see this clip. So let's go ahead and roll this.
Goddess of love, please don't wound me with your golden bow and arrows dripping with desire.
What I want is sensible love, the best the gods can give. No lust which drives me to another's bed, brings arguments which never end. Look carefully at marriages, leave the peaceful ones alone.
My home, my country. Never let me be a refugee, leading my life depending on others, miserable, pitied by all, intolerable. I'd kill myself first and end such a life. No disaster is worse than losing your home.
Such a powerful clip with so much rawness, right? We're going to go to Diane, our mental health expert, to kind of just give her feedback on this particular clip.
Wow. So judgment, right? That's all you heard throughout that clip. One of the things was, how could, she be betrayed? And there was conversations about the lust and the suicide, all of these very, very, very important topics. But for one, I want to stick to the suicide part. To think that there is a place where somebody can get to where there is no return. It's very concerning, and especially in the Latino community, when, like we've said already on this panel, where people don't talk about the issues. The gentleman who stated, I couldn't live like that. Suicide would be the only option. Well, we're here today to tell you that there are other options. There are plenty of resources, and we're going to share those with you at the end of this panel. But it's just an amazing portrayal of real life, and how somebody at their wit's end can look at somebody and just be like, oh my goodness, suicide should be the answer. I could not deal with it. I would probably kill myself. Very, very unfortunate situation.
Muchísimas gracias, Diane. En lo que está diciendo Diane es obviamente el tema de suicidio, que a veces nos ponemos en un momento de desesperación y no realmente pensamos que no tenemos otra alternativa. Y bueno, pues eso es algo que en la charla que estamos teniendo el día de hoy vamos a elaborar un poquito más. Una de las preguntas que se estaban diciendo es que si hay recursos y más adelante, quédense con nosotros porque más adelante vamos a darles esos recursos, donde pueden ustedes llamar, donde pueden ustedes buscar ayuda para que no caigan en esa trampa, del suicidio, que es algo pues muy difícil y un tema muy difícil, pero podemos superarlo. Bueno, we'll go now to our dear friend Yvette. Yvette.
Well, thank you. Every time I see these clips, again, it brings back these emotions, but also these ideas. Thank you again, Diane, for mentioning judgment, because we do face judgment. It's not something of old, it's something of new, and it's something of now. And the idea of loneliness and being isolated, it's difficult. The only voice that you can hear is yours, and it gets to a point when you lose your sound, your own reasoning. And then it's so important to have these resources. And a lot of times when we're alone, we're always scared to tell others of our difficulties and our challenges. So I want to just kind of circle back to something that's really important that Lolly mentioned. This is International Women's Month, History Month. And we need to understand that this year's trending hashtag is choose to challenge. And I want everyone who's participating today, who's hearing this broadcast today, understand that we are in a different time, and it's time to be disruptive, to break some of those cultural norms, to take some of those stigmas that we've been told and challenge them. Ask better questions, get better informed, ask for help. You know, we talk about the power of ask all the time at Power on Heels. And why is this? Because we as women, especially Latinas, when we find ourselves in a moment of crisis, we don't always let people know that we are hurting, that we are weak, and that we need help. And as this video continues on and we continue to discuss it, it's important that we talk about that we need to feel comfortable in ourselves to find a trusted, somebody in our community that we can trust that can help. And then for those who are being asked for help, for them to reach back and say, I will help you, my friend, my sister, my amiga, my comadre, because it takes a lot of courage to tell someone you need help. So again, this is valuable conversation, not only for everyone, but for our community as women, as Latinas. We need to begin to break these cultural norms that continue to tie us down and keep us from moving forward, not only in our lives, but in our growth, whatever that may be.
Yes, powerfully said. You said one key word that really kind of rang to me. It was courage. I believe that being vulnerable takes courage. Sharing, you're going through difficult times, definitely is courage. So I encourage anybody who's at home that's going through some difficult times to reach out to your tribe, whoever that may be. I'm so fortunate that I have strong women around me who are willing to lift me up, who are willing to just listen. Sometimes it's just sitting, in being in a quiet time. So it's so important to have that community just reach out to. But I understand sometimes a lot of that comes with fear of trust. So, we have to work on trusting individuals because, we're going through difficult times. But very well said, Yvette. So now we're going to go to our second clip of MEDEA so we can continue the conversation on other subject matters.
What service you did do is not without its value. But you got better than you gave, saving me. Look at it this way. You now live in Greece instead of your backward land. Moreover, here you can experience justice, the rule of law, instead of brute force. Here, might does not make right. And now the Greeks all know how skilled you are. You have a reputation. If you were still out at the ends of the earth, no one would ever have heard of you. As far as I am concerned, being rich or able to strum a better tune than Orpheus himself means nothing compared to being well known, a star, a celebrity. That's what I have to say about my exploits.
Ooh, every time I see this clip, it gets me fired up. I was like, wait a minute. So we're going to go to Blanca. She's going to expand a little bit on the mental health aspect of this conversation.
Of course, hearing a clip like that, or if someone speaks to you that way, that is going to fire you up somewhat. So what's happening there is that he's manipulating her. He's essentially gaslighting her. That's a term that we hear a lot these days. But what does that mean? It's like he's invalidating what she's saying. He's invalidating her feelings. He's essentially saying, you're better off. What are you complaining about? When what has really occurred is that she's lost everything. She's lost her family. She's lost, and so he's invalidating all of that. And of course, that could make you feel powerless, especially if it's someone that you care about very much, that you're in love with, that you feel betrayed by, that you never thought would do something like that for you. But what happens here as well is that, for her, she kind of gets lost in it. She loses her power. She's a goddess after all. So she has power for change. She has power, but she gets lost in her grief and in her wailing and in her tears. So that's, something very important to work through and to process with some help, with someone. It's really difficult to bring yourself out of that when, again, you're being gaslighted, and someone that you care about very much is essentially invalidating everything that exists, everything that you've been, and you kind of get blindsided by that. So, that's important to seek out help also, and to speak to someone about that, to kind of get your power back and figure out, where you are and what your next steps can be.
Thank you, Blanca. Muchísimas gracias. Pues que es esa palabra manipulación, ¿verdad? Nosotros los latinos, bueno, pues, y no nomás son nosotros los latinos, pero yo en mi casa con mis padres, y cuando voy y visito a familiares o con un amigo o una amiga y hablan de relaciones, o sea, esa manipulación es muy difícil porque nos afecta. Y aunque seamos nosotros también los machos, que seamos bien fuertes y todo eso, las mujeres también a nosotros también nos manipulan. Igual que, ¿verdad? Es para los dos lados, ¿verdad? Y es muy importante de reconocer eso y no caer en esa trampa, porque uno se cae, se acobarda y comienza a creer esa manipulación que le están dando. So the manipulation, sometimes when we hear it, we don't know how to handle it, and so we start believing and start falling into that trap.
I think a lot of it has to do with, when the feelings get involved, you don't see the other part of it.
The emotions, yeah.
The emotions. So we need to be able to separate, or not separate, but just understand and be aware of the feelings are interfering with the fact that, wait a minute, I'm not looking at my self-worth. So if I'm talking about allowing this to happen, that's on me. So we have to remember that we can't let our feelings get in front of our self-worth.
Yes, because then you start spiraling down. Ana, share us your comment. What did you think of this clip?
So this is one of those clips, like Blanca mentioned, it just brings out every emotion there is to have or hold, right? Like Blanca mentioned, gaslighting, that's a psychological bullying. This person is trying to take over even your own opinion of yourself. You're losing your identity slowly to the expectations that he has given you, society and his interpretation has given you. Here's MEDEA coming from a whole new land, has nobody here, has lost everything, And now the one thing she has left, which is her self-worth, her self-value, is also being torn and shredded, to pieces by the psychological manipulation that is happening to her. This is something that I know we as wives, mothers, daughters, especially in the Latina culture where we feel so much responsibility to those roles, tend to lose ourselves in them. And a lot of times, like Bande and Blanca mentioned, you have to just step back. Put your emotions aside. Put yourself as a priority. Bring yourself back to the position you were in before that started happening. And it might take a network. It might take friends. It might take, contacts of different people that you talk to, health experts, great person to talk to because they can't share anything you share with them, right? So just think about those things. But this is a very, very strong and impactful clip that we just watched, and it does really bring out a lot of emotions. And I want you all to just think about it for a little bit and analyze. And what point have you allowed that somebody else to tell you what you are or who you are, and how do we stop it?
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Anna, for your comments. And it's one thing that's like it's like an underlying thread is like every time we see a clip, and I've seen MEDEA 3 times, and I also go,
yeah.
I get angered, and you start.
I think it's because it's like a trigger. Like we had something, or we saw something, we experienced something, so it brings something out of us. Yes, we're totally connected to the character because we've either lived it or we've seen it, we've advocated for it. So yeah.
And of all, when I saw this, how us as Latinos, we love seeing telenovelas. Nos gusta ver las telenovelas. And MEDEA es una telenovela porque tiene todas las emociones, got all the emotions, just the drama, the tragedy. I mean, it's algo que te pones and you're screaming and, you want her to do it and not do it. And anyway.
I know it's art, right? But it's a lot of it you see in life.
Well, it's what it say, art imitating life, right. But life imitating art, you know?
Exactly.
So let's go to our third clip, and let's see what it's all about.
If you work hard and your husband's ball and chain doesn't chafe, you're lucky. If not, you're better off dead. When men get bored with life at home, they can go out and amuse themselves with other friends or lovers, while we must set our sights on only one. Men say we lead a lazy life at home while they must go to war. The fools! I would rather charge an enemy 3 times than give birth once.
Wow. Los doble standards, ¿verdad?
Yes, for sure.
Lali, tell us what you think about this clip. I know you have a really strong opinion on this.
Oh, absolutely. So as an advocate for women, I always encourage our members or the women that I work with in the community that you can do anything you want to do. I don't care what norms or what standards have been set. That decision is yours. And when I saw this clip, and to Yvette's point, watched it multiple times, it's like, did I really hear that? The sad thing is that we still have many women in today's society, many young girls in today's society that are told these things. I was very fortunate to be raised to believe that I could do anything, and it was my choice to do whatever it was. That was many, many years ago. As I mentioned, history has proven that we can make some choices, but yet today, in this day and age, so many of our Latinas, so many of our women, doesn't matter what race, are sitting at home being told, you can't do that. You can't go to college. You can't, you can't work. You have children. Look around you. Look around you and see the many, many examples of women that have done so much on their own. Again, I was very privileged to have some great examples in my life. My mother and my grandmother were very strong women. My mother got divorced in 1958 in Mexico, and she had 5 children. And she went and asked for that divorce. Today, people still feel like divorce, oh my God, what a failure. No, it's not. You know, the one thing I try to encourage, and I tell this to our students in particular that we work with, but I tell this as well to our employees and our women that we work with as well, is the biggest scandal that you have and see today, tomorrow will be forgotten. Don't pay such a heavy price for it. Trust that something new will come and take its place, especially in today's world where we have social media that's just, you know, it's looking for new things and new topics, right? Don't worry about, you know, what other people think. Worry about how it impacts you. Understand who you are. Understand what it is that you want. And work towards that. And if you educate yourself, if you work hard towards those things, don't allow somebody to take that away from you. It's your choice. Balde, back to you.
Thank you, Lali. Tú lo eliges, like you said, Lali. Es muy difícil. Lali mencionó ahorita un poquito del divorcio, que nos ponemos apenados y con vergüenza, que no queremos platicar sobre esos temas porque sabemos que o pensamos que es nuestra...
¿Qué va a decir la gente?
¿Qué va a decir la gente? ¿Qué es lo que van a decir? Que no funcionó, que fracasamos, de we are failure, fracasamos. Y la mera neta no es eso. No es nada del otro mundo. It's nothing from another world. Things happen. Relationships don't work. And we cannot be embarrassed. We cannot feel ashamed. And we should be able to talk about it. We should be able to talk about it. So I just want to let our Facebook friends and YouTube friends, if you have a question or a comment, please share it with us, because we would like to go ahead and address those and kind of share what your thoughts are as we have this charla with MEDEA, on MEDEA. So let's go to Ana, because if you thought Lali had a response for this, Ms. Ana, let us have it. Let us know what you think, amiga.
Ya llegó la peleonera. This is me right now. So this one is very, very frustrating to me, because you could see the emotions where she's going through, you know, like, oh, men can do this and can do that, but I'm expected to do this or to do that. Unfortunately, there are still a lot of societal expectations on women. You're supposed to be, you know, the housekeeper. You're supposed to be the babysitter. You're supposed to be the cook and keep the house clean, but you're lazy. Even after doing those 30,000 tasks that my husband, who's probably sleeping right now, couldn't do. And I'm going to tell you right now, stop that. And I want to tell the mothers, and I'm going to say this in Spanish, para las madres latinas. No le digan a sus hijas que no vayan a la universidad. Todas las muchachitas con las que yo he platicado me dicen, oh, mi mamá dijo que no tengo que ir a la universidad, o que eso no es cosa para mí. It absolutely is cosa para ellas. Déjenlas que vayan a la universidad. Va a ser mucho mejor para ellas tener su propio pie para sostenerse en ella misma. So I think that is very important. Do encourage your daughters, the future generation, to become the leaders that they should have already been yesterday, you know, that we should have been today. So I think that this is one of those topics that it might never end until we stand up and voice ourselves. So very important, very relevant today. I hear it a lot, and I was actually shocked. Much like Lali, I was very blessed. I was never told what I couldn't or shouldn't do. Well, maybe a couple of times, but that was a different story. But you know what I mean? We were never told you shouldn't go to school, or school's not for girls. You know, you shouldn't work. You should get married. I was never told those things. So I think that it's very, very important for us to make that change, because the change always starts with us. We want to start it today, and that's going to fuel the next one and the next one and the next one till we are finally at more equal ground than everyone else. But that's my 2 cents. And yes, I'm a peleonera ready for this one. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share my point of view on that one.
So we have a question from one of our friends in Facebook. You know, what choices could MEDEA have made now? What better choices, or what other resources would she, in today's time, could she have accessed and made better? Diane, why don't you answer that?
Yes, there is so much that she could have done. So I will say this, I've been wanting to say this because I know with the Latino community, this is how it happens. We'd say, la ropa sucia no se lava de fuera de la casa, right? And we haven't talked about it. So if she would have found that support, that could be a lifesaver in itself. The resources that I do want to share with you, as Balde and Blanca mentioned earlier, I am a director at the Council on Recovery. Our number is 713-942-4100, and I'll have them put that in the chat in case you have any questions. There's 2 other lines that I want you all to know. AVDA, Aid to Victims of Domestic Abuse, and I'm looking down because I want to make sure that I get this phone number right, 713-224-9911. And most importantly, I want everybody to pick up their phone and put this phone number in your phone right now. 1-800-273-TALK, which is 8255. That is the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. That provides you with crisis intervention. They can help you walk through your issue. They will stay on the phone with you for as long as you need. And upcoming soon, hopefully soon, there'll be a 3-digit number so it's easier to remember. But that's why I'm asking you all to put that phone number in your phone. And that way, if you ever feel that you are at your wit's end, like MEDEA was several times throughout the play, that you have that number and you'll have that person on the other line to get you through this difficult.
Muchísimas gracias, Diane. Thank you so much. You know, this is actually what we really wanted to make sure that we supply to our friends and families that are watching us through Facebook and YouTube. Nos están dando un número muy importante. Si tienen algo con que escribir, tenemos el número nacional para el suicidio para poder hablar con alguien es el 1-800-273-8255. 1-800-273-8255. Y si usted algún día quiere estar deprimido o quiere nomás alguien que lo escuche, por favor, ese es un número que usted puede llamar y puede preguntar que si le pueden facilitar el que hable español y puede usted platicar, alguien va a estar escuchándolo.
Desahogarse.
Desahogarse, exactamente, desahogarse. Por pronto no podemos ir con nuestros padres o nuestros hijos, o a veces tenemos pena ir con nuestras amistades.
O sea, a veces los problemas con ellos.
Exactamente. Entonces, con esta razón, este número, muchísimas gracias, Diane, por facilitar. Thank you so much for facilitating this number, Diane Arms. It's so important that there's a way that people can pick up the phone and just have someone that they can just exhale.
A lifeline.
And talk things out. So thank you so much. We're going to go to our final clip, and this is our final clip. And I want all of our experts and our community partners. We're going to give you an opportunity to give you a last thought, final thought based on this video. So let's go ahead and roll this clip.
This is my way to kill another child, the king's. I'll send them with presents in their hands, gifts for the bride, a delicate dress, a crown of finely beaten gold. If she just touches this loveliness, lays it on her skin, she will die the most appalling death, and so will anyone who touches her. So deadly is the poison in which I dip my gifts. At this point, I'll break off my strategy. Oh God. What a thing I have to do after this. I am going to kill my children. There's no one who can take them from me. They are still mine. And after I destroy Jason's whole world, I'll leave this place, escape my sweetest baby's murder. An awful, God-cursed act. I won't stand for my enemies mocking me.
Wow.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Yvette Mayo, give us your response.
Oh, I tell you, every time I watch this, clip after clip, emotions just come to the surface. It is something, you know what I feel for MEDEA. She has done all the right things. She's been a dutiful daughter, a dutiful wife, a dutiful mother. She did all the right things. She helped her husband, come across and kill enemies and all of these things throughout the story. And yet she finds herself at this point of dismal, just pain and suffering. And she's now looking for solutions. And she's so desperate that the only thing that she can think of is to harm not herself, but her children and everything that she blames for this pain that she's suffering. I just feel for her. There's a sense of sadness. But the question I have now is what can we do as a society, as a community, as a friend, that when we see people with such hurt in their lives, how can we help them? How can we offer to help? And what can we do to change this? We need resources. And I'm so thankful for Diane and the numbers that she gave us. But we also need to know that we can trust somebody with our pain. We need to be able to talk about these things. And I think from a cultural standpoint, as we've said it many times throughout this telecast today, is that we don't teach within our community to share our pain. We don't teach to share at all. It's like we coexist, but yet not really understand the deep challenges that we all have. We can see people, but we don't really see them. And I think that I want to put a charge out there that in this time of COVID-19 and where there's so much isolation that's taking place, there are people who are hurting. If you haven't seen a friend for a while or heard from them or seen them on Facebook, on social media, give them a call, send them a text, do something, reconnect. People are hurting. And this is what happens when someone is left alone to deal with such suffering and some pain. They just lose reason. And we as a community can do better to support each other. I just can't wait to hear what our professionals have to say to support her in this, to give us some advice here. But if I can just give advice to the women listening, or anyone listening, male or female, it's we have to stand up and help each other. This is something that could possibly prevent it. We could have saved these children. We could have saved MEDEA. We could have saved lives here. And that's just what caring does, what kindness does, what love does, when we step in and truly help within our community. So again, it is sad, but she did everything right. Yet she's in this spiraling situation, and she feels death is the only way. It's not the only way. It's not. And I think we need to make that clear, that if you need help, please, please, please ask.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Yvette. Yeah, I think you also kind of hit on some things that I try to do as a friend. And when you're right, when I don't hear from a specific friend for a little while, I'm like, I wonder what's going on with her. Like, I listen to my gut feeling and I send a text or give a call and say, hey, is everything okay? And sometimes, yes, but 80% of the time, I feel that I'm right. Like, I know that there was something going on, and we are able to share and be open about it. It's like, hey, you're not alone. So, yeah.
You trust that instinct.
Yes.
That instinct. Well, thank you. Lali, give us your thoughts.
So, when you think about the situation, again, I think Yvette touched on so many important topics there. It's the sooner you address a problem, the better off you are, because it doesn't become so huge that you're not able to manage it anymore. Take care of it. Find the resources. One of the other numbers that I always share is there's a United Way helpline, which is 211. It's 24 hours by 7 call center that will help you get to the resources you need. It's a simple one, and it allows you to, whatever it may be, maybe you're in a situation where you have financial burden, or you are in a situation where you can't get child care and you're just desperate for some quiet time or something of that nature, whatever it may be. But you start off and you handle it. I also very much encourage you to have your own personal tribe of friends, and I'm going to say men and women, that you can rely on. And that when you have a problem, you pick up that phone and you say, Anna, help me with this, because I'm like about to lose it here. I really need your help just thinking through this and what's the best approach. And if, after I talk to Ana, if I still didn't get convinced, I'll pick up the phone and call Valdemar and say, Valdemar, let's go have some coffee. I just need some help. And it's okay. It doesn't matter. The strongest are the ones that ask for help. That's the courage. If you stand back and not say something, you're running the risk of not just yourself, but your children, your family, all of the above. And what good does it do? You want to make sure that you're productive, you're effective with what decisions you make. And it's so easy. Ask for help. And I can't stress enough, if you do notice someone not quite right, speak up. I've seen several posts recently on social media, and I know people, and it doesn't have to be someone who is close or not. Say, you know what, I care. If I can help in any way, let me know. There's always resources you can reach out to. And you can sometimes just be an unbiased ear for this person. Not involved in the decision, but at least giving them that second opinion. And then maybe, they feel a little bit better just simply having had someone listen to them.
Thank you very much, Lali. Thank you very much. Lo que nos está diciendo nuestra amiga, les voy a dar un número muy importante, el 211. Esa es la línea de ayuda de United Way. Pueden llamar, hacer preguntas, buscar a alguien que les pueda ayudar con situaciones que les esté afectando. Muy importante, su número de sus celulares, pueden llamar 211. Y ahorita pues nos vamos con una de las expertas, vamos con Blanca Garza. Blanca, platícanos un poquito la respuesta de este último clip que vimos del desastre que hizo MEDEA.
Blanca. Hola, sí, pues en este último clip lo que podemos ver es donde ella está desesperada, no sabe qué hacer, pero a mí me gustaría relacionar este clip un poquito con una historia que es muy relevante para nosotros, los latinos, que viene siendo la historia de la Llorona. O sea, cuando pensamos en la Llorona, es una mujer que está llorando, que mata a sus hijos, que la han traicionado y ella quiere, venganza y quiere, por el mismo dolor que tiene, pues los mata. Pero si pensamos en esto un poquito metafóricamente, podemos ver, por ejemplo, que de repente el asesinato de los niños no tiene que ser algo físico, porque hoy en día podemos relacionar eso con algo como que la pérdida de la inocencia de los niños cuando hay un divorcio, porque esa es una de las cosas que no hemos tocado en este tema todavía, es los niños, ¿qué pasa con ellos? O sea, cuando hay pérdidas, cuando inmigramos a otro país, ellos muchas veces se pierden dentro del sistema, a veces los separan, entonces hay mucho sufrimiento y eso es algo que también necesitamos ver y no olvidarnos, o sea, de ellos y por lo que están pasando ellos también. Entonces, como digo, metafóricamente podemos hablar del sufrimiento, el sufrimiento de ellos como esa pérdida de su inocencia, porque muchas veces ellos terminan siendo como los papás, o sea, tienen que traducir, tienen que hacer muchas cosas y a veces pierden su niñez. Entonces, no hay que olvidarnos de ellos, que a veces de repente ellos también necesitarán a alguien con quien platicar y para procesar todo lo que está pasando dentro de la familia cuando hay tanto sufrimiento. Y Valde, yo también me gustaría decirles del el Centro de Recursos Creativos, que es donde yo trabajo. CCR es una organización sin fines de lucros y es muy accesible. Entonces, ese también después podemos poner el teléfono, pero ahí también la gente puede llamar y pedir información. Gracias.
Muchísimas gracias. Thank you so much, Blanca. So Blanca just she made a really, a connection with a story that affects that a lot of us Latinos know, and that's the legend of La Llorona, and how in Medea, this character Medea, she ends up, killing her kids. And us in the Latino community, sometimes when there's a divorce, we don't really kill our young kids, but we kill their innocence, because all of a sudden from the very next day, that young man or that young woman has to grow up and be an adult, because the father's now out of the picture or the mother's out of the picture. So you're technically killing your children, because now you're forcing them to be an adult, to get a job. Or, if you're immigrant and you don't speak the language, then that young, if the father or the mother's not around, then that young boy or young girl has to learn how to translate and do all these different things. So they have to be mature right away and grow up right away. And so that's a very interesting connection with Medea. I want to acknowledge a little while ago, we saw Elizabeth Bunch Hutchinson, who is the star of it. She plays Medea. We're so excited for you. Congratulations, Elizabeth. It's how wonderful. Your performance was amazing. A lot of us felt what you were going through. I saw Medea 3 times outside of the rehearsals. I saw it, and it just what a wonderful performance. You and all of the cast. Congratulations, the whole folks in production. A job well done. I just wanted to acknowledge that was her making a comment. And she says this. She says that the Euripides, the author, didn't know, he couldn't imagine how this story 2,500 years later was going to impact our community and how
still be relevant.
And still discussion. Be relevant, exactly. And so again, Blanca and Diane, Lali, all of you who have contributed numbers, contact resources, thank you so much. We're going to make sure that we put those up. El Centro de Recursos Creativos, Center for Creative Resources, we'll be sure to put that phone number there. That's the organization that Blanca Garza works for, so that you can reach out and get some more information. Let's go to Ana Garza. Ana, excuse me, before we go to Ana Garza, you had a question that...
Yes, from one of our Facebook viewers, Mary Sutton. She was asking, how do we get our daughters involved in this type of conversation? I'm going to address this question to Diane. So what would you tell Ms. Sutton, who was asking the question on Facebook?
Ms. Sutton, if you are already asking the question, then you're one step ahead. Really, it's about opening the conversation that's relevant at the age that they are at. It's all about their development, right? You don't want to go and talk to a 4-year-old about something that is of an adult manner. However, what we need to teach our daughters is that they're valid, their feelings are valid, they're valuable, they're worth it, and they don't need any external source to provide them that validity. So I think, Ms. Sutton, you are already ahead of the game.
That's true. Thank you so much. But yeah, we also wanted to get your input, Diane, on the last clip, on your view, and with a little closing statement as well.
Absolutely. There's a saying in mental health, and I think it's pretty much used very widely now. Hurt people, right? So Medea was hurt, and she in turn hurt her children, hurt the princess. There's so many tools that we can use. I know that came up on the Facebook feed quite a lot. And there's simple tools that don't cost anything. Eat healthy, exercise, sleep, get outside, take a media break. Not from Alley Theater's website or Alley Theater's Facebook. You have to always watch them. But take a media break. Stay connected to those people who are around you, especially in this time of COVID. It is very difficult to feel like you're with a part of something bigger. And then most importantly, self-love and ask for help. We've given you a ton of resources. You know, if you call any of those numbers, we'd be more than happy to give you some more. You know, on Facebook, we'd be able to answer some more questions. But that clip just, it gets me, because if she weren't as hurt, then perhaps it wouldn't have snowballed into what it did in the killing of her children.
You are absolutely right. Absolutely right. Now let's go to the final comment for this last clip, and that's Ana Garcia. Ana Garcia.
So I'm going to echo my fellow panelists on a lot of this conversation. I do agree, and what if it is happening today? And everybody mentioned, if you haven't heard from your friend for a while, and check in on them. Have you ever thought, a lot of the people that you've known in your life that commit suicide, you do say, well, I never knew she was going through that. I never knew he had that idea. I never, exactly, we don't know. And the reason we don't know, it's because these people are suffering internally. So when you do the questioning and ask, how are you, go check in on them, I think that opens up the door for them to feel comfortable coming to you. And I think that's one of the greatest tools that we have is conversation. I've seen that on the comments all this evening. Conversation, love to see this. Yes, it's definitely conversation. To Ms. Sutton, I have 3 children. They're now young adults, but throughout their entire teenage year, my house has been a revolving door. Still can't get rid of some of them, and they're always here. And everybody calls me mama, so I'm like the mama of 20 kids. And some of my daughter's friends feel more comfortable coming to me or calling me, and it's all because I'm very open with them. I have conversations that technically, a lot of parents don't feel comfortable having with their kids. I had the sex talk, I had the drug talk, I had the open conversation about I wasn't a saint when I was growing up either. I did some of those things, and that's why I'm telling you this. And the bullying conversation, I had all of those conversations, and like Diane mentioned, it comes at different stages in their lives. But if you start it young and you have that open dialogue, they're going to feel so comfortable coming to you and saying, Mom, the other day my son calls me, he was at a party, and he tells me, Mom, I'm going to go ahead and spend the night. And I was like, okay, what do you mean you can spend the night? With who, why, and where? And he says, I'm not going to lie to you, I've been drinking, and you would kill me if I drove home drinking. And yes, that's very true, because I've always told them since they were like teenagers and going to other people's houses, I'd rather get mad at you in the morning than not have you there to get mad at, or to see a family suffer because of your actions. So just have that open dialogue with everyone, not just your children, but your peers, your colleagues, anyone that you see stressful. Yvette made a very good point. This COVID days have been extremely different from our normal. And I think that reaching out, attending events, putting yourself out there, showing your vulnerabilities, I can't speak today, and sharing that helps you open that avenue to have more dialogue about things that are important to you, and that will help you cope with whatever it is you're dealing with today.
Absolutely, Anna. I think being transparent, like I mentioned earlier in the show, that it shows courage. And being vulnerable is going to be truly showing your whole authentic self. And at the end of the day, like everybody's opinions of you doesn't matter. And it's none of your business. Their opinion of you is none of your business. And that's what I tell my kids. So I have 2 boys, not girls. So I'm going to be raising 2 men. So I want to make sure that they're totally rounded in terms of being able to talk about their emotions, being able to share if they're having a bad day, or sometimes we don't even speak because they don't want to share it. I'm like, that's fine. Give them their space. But also I try to share my moments of hardship, but not everything, right? But just kind of be open about, you know what, today's been a really tough day. I'm having a lot of stress with work. It has nothing to do with you. So just don't take it personal. I'm having a bad day. As long as I'm being honest with them, they appreciate that, because they know, like, oh, okay. Because before they used to think, well, maybe I did something wrong, or I don't want to upset Mom. Maybe she's mad at me. It's like, no, it's none of those things. And once I realized that they were, thinking these thoughts, I made it very clear. Like, so being open and having that open communication, Ms. Higgins, I think, Ms. Sutton, I would definitely encourage that constant conversation. Who are your friends? Tell me about your friends. I always want to know about their friends. It's different now because they're in high school. So it gets a little tricky in terms of they want to share everything, but then that's okay too. I let them have their privacy. But at the same time, it's like I just want to know who your friends are. And so we are very open in conversation. He tells me about everybody. So I think just being open with your family and your friends who are, you're generally your good friends, is so key to be able to have just a little bit of normalcy, especially during these COVID times.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Well, amigos y familia de Facebook and YouTube, continue putting, we're about to near the end of the broadcast, but I encourage you to continue putting your questions. Our experts and our community partners will continue to be putting in their responses. We'll be going through the next couple of days. The broadcast will be happening, like I said, through the next few days. So continue putting your questions. They will get answered. And we go in there as well. We put in the different phone numbers for you to access these resources that were mentioned today. As you know, we are creative people, right? Here at the Alley Theater, and we depend on our community partners to share this information and their certifications and their knowledge and their skills. We thank each and every one of our community partners and our experts for giving us that information. Thank you, and thank you. So we're about to end. I want to give you, Blanca, what is your final thought? And then I'll give you a final thought, and then we will be able to say goodbye to all of you. But Blanca, tell me your final thought.
First of all, I want to say thank you to the community for being part of this amazing event that Valdemar and the Alley Theater and everybody came in together with amazing experts and our panelists. So thank you so much for letting me be part of it. I just want to say that I've taken some little nuggets from different conversations from our amazing leadership that we have here. And the one thing that really, that Blanca Matorkaya, she kind of highlighted that I didn't know was gaslighting. And I think somebody had asked about it too. So I just thought that was a very interesting description of what somebody trying to tear an individual down by not validating who they are, right? So that was my biggest takeaway from today. And also, you know, like Yvette and so many of our leaders were mentioning, just to be strong and just to be your true self and just fight for what you want in life. You can be anything you want. I tell my kids everything, you know, like just set a goal, be happy, spread kindness, come from a place of love. And that, you know, I just encourage everybody to just, because you never know what people are going through. As we mentioned throughout the whole discussion, we don't know what people are going through. So just be kind. And if you see something's happening, then if you want to help, then offer the help. And if you don't, you know, it's okay too. But don't give them a hard time about it. So just be mindful of those things. So those would be my final thoughts. And I just wish everybody the best and just, you know, be safe out there.
Thank you. Thank you so much. In 30 seconds or less, each one of our panelists, a quick takeaway from this. Diane, let's start with you.
The help is there. So ask for it. Resources are here for you.
Blanca?
Yeah, I would just like to, I guess normalize is the word that's coming to me. You know, we all go through things in our life. And so at one point or another, you know, we'll have some depression, we'll have anxiety, we'll have, you know, something going on for us. So yeah, reach out to somebody. Y se los voy a decir en español también. O sea, quiero normalizar un poco que a todos nos pasa en alguna vez en nuestras vidas. De repente sentimos depresión, ansiedad o cosas que necesitamos platicar con alguien. Y como han dicho, o sea, como hemos dicho, hay recursos y no se olviden de llamar a alguien y no aislarse tanto. Es todo. Muchas gracias.
Gracias. Lali?
I'm going to say, be kind to each other. Help push each other along so that you can achieve more together. And remember, we're all human. We have the tremendous resiliency to bounce back and come back from terrible times. And the amazing thing is when we do, we come back stronger than ever. So be brave and you can do this.
Ana?
Continue to use your voice, continue to press forward, and continue to join El Zócalo at the Theater Alley for all of the future conversations.
And Yvette Mayo.
Oh, well, 30 seconds. What can I say? If you're listening, you're not alone. Someone is always here to help you. You just have to ask for it. What does power mean? Is that you have the ability or the understanding and the awareness that you are strong, but also when you are weak. Use your power wisely, ask for help. We've given you resources, we've given you ideas, but I want everyone who's tuning in today and who will hear this afterwards, understand that you are not alone, that we as a community care. And I think that that's the thing that we have to get over. And I'd like to think that we can start thinking about things proactively versus reactively. I don't want to deal with things after things get really bad. Let's talk about things as you're feeling them. Start reaching out and looking for people. We are here as a community, whether it's Power on Heels, the Women at AT&T, the Alley Theater, Diane at the Council for Recovery, as well as Blanca at the Center for Creative Resources. You are just literally a search away to find help. Do it. It takes action, and it takes courage, and it takes power. So use it.
Muchísimas gracias. Muchísimas gracias a todos. Thank you, everybody. I want to say that the play is called Medea, but it could have easily be called Mateo. So, gentlemen, we go through the same situations. It could also happen to us. Do not be embarrassed, caballeros. No tengan pena. Busquen un círculo. Find the circle of friends that you can trust, that you can talk, because use our voice, like we've said here. Use our voice so that we can let ourselves be heard and be helped. There's allies out there that are ready to come and to your help, to your aid whenever you feel and you go into that dark place. Once again, everybody, all of the organizations here, Blanca, thank you so much for being here, supporting the art, supporting the Alley Theater. Thank you to all of the actors, all of the production, and a special thanks to all of my friends in marketing, Rachel, Tina, Larissa, Francisco, for allowing us the opportunity to collaborate and make this Cuentos y Charlas such a success. And all of our friends and my colleagues from ECE, which is Education and Community Engagement, Mr. Rob Melrose, Mr. Dean Gladden, who's our Managing Director. Everyone, thank you so much for supporting the access of creativity and Latino theater, theater for our diverse Latino community here in Houston. And that was my final thought. And once again, gracias a todos. Aquí los esperamos. We will be here in another 2 weeks with our second Cuentos y Charlas, where we will be talking about themes that are in a new play written by a Latino, directed by a Latina, and that's El Chuco Town Forever. And for those of you that did not register to see Medea yet, please register. Yes. It's in the chats, the link to go in there. It's a free presentation for all of our community. So I hope you enjoy. Y muchísimas gracias. We could bring everybody on so that we can say our farewells, para ver las caritas, las emociones, un fuerte cariño y abrazo a cada uno de ustedes. Y con eso nos despedimos.
Adiós.
Adiós.
Bye-bye.